of PSCU people in here today.
That's
as well.
good. We like that.
I know.
The more PSCU
started
people,
out
the
with
better.
Chuck. Actually, I had a couple.
Chuck and Lynn, right? They were kind of back to back, right?
Yep. And who else was in here? Lynn. Yeah, Lynn was here. Yeah.
Oh,
And who
Andrea
else did I
probably.
have?
Andrea Resnick, was she in?
That was for Sunday night. Had her.
Oh, got
yeah,
it. Okay.
She did a great job as well. Yeah, she's a very good interview as well. Okay. All right. If you're ready, I am ready. Let me
ready.
get my water out of the way. Put it right there. All right, we are here at the 2018 CUNA GAC in Washington, D.C. We are here with PSCU's very own Brian Scott. Brian, how are you, sir?
I am excellent. If I was any better, I'd be you, Mike.
Oh, wow, really?
No,
Well,
yeah.
let's think about that for a second.
It's a beautiful day here. So
It is. It's gorgeous out.
You do not get many of these beautiful days at GAC. Somehow Washington seems always cold and rainy.
I know,
so
snowing.
we'll take this, yeah.
So we'll take the clear sunny skies for sure. First of all, how's the conference going for you guys?
That's awesome. You know, it's the best time to get together with all your credit union friends and see people walking around. So we love it. Super happy to be here, and it's been great so far.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And the topic at hand is fraud stories.
Not a fun topic, fraud, right?
Yeah, it's a little touchy, but it's good to have folks like you backing us up here. So, fraud stories, real life examples of how machine learning and linked analysis prevent fraud. So, can you expand on this a little bit?
Sure. So, we've rolled out and we're doing a couple interesting things around fraud. So, we're taking data and information from multiple different sources, combining it together and looking for odd links. So, as an example, we had a couple fraud accounts, different credit unions, and it was interesting because it's like, we wonder how that fraud happened.
Yeah,
so we plugged those into our linked analysis tool, and what we found is they had phone calls from the same phone number coming into our call center. They didn't talk to a person, they just had a phone call coming into our call center.
Okay.
And so once we discovered, okay, well, they clearly are doing fraud, and whoever's calling in on this phone number is the one perpetrating the fraud.
Right.
So we said, let's go figure out all of our other cards from our 900 clients that have had a call from the same phone number.
Oh, good idea.
So we found 100 more of those.
Wow.
And none of those had yet had fraud, but we went and put some auth blocks on those to prevent them from being used.
Right, right.
And within a day or two, we actually saw fraudulent transactions come in.
Whoa.
So that's it's just a simple example of how linking together seemingly random pieces of information, a phone call into a call center.
Brian, this is like a CSI episode, you know?
It kind of is. And so our team that runs this, they are like a fraudster. And so this is kind of our way to combat what they're out doing already. So,
man, I mean, as scary a story as that is, really kind of a cool story. How you guys figured it out and found out and kind of thwarted it.
It's pretty neat. And so, you know, when you call somebody and say, hey, we think we need to put a block on these accounts because we saw this trend, and it was a trend we didn't even see at your credit union. We saw it somewhere else.
Right, right.
It's pretty powerful. And, you know, again, it may only be onesie, twosie, but in aggregate, it's a big number.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, we just had one last month that we stopped. It was over $1 million, and so it was confirmed.
That's
confirmed fraud because we put the auth blocks on, and then we saw the fraudulent transactions trying to come through. So it's pretty neat. And you know, our team that built this behind the scenes, we built it ourselves. It kind of started small, but the more data we get in there from multiple different sources, the more powerful it becomes. So.
Wow. So is this something that you guys provide? It's a service, I assume.
It's a service, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And you know, it's one of these things that for us to be successful, we've got to make our credit union clients successful. And one of the things that's a big pain is fraud.
Right.
And you know, EMV has come along, and that's helped reduce fraud. So the fraudsters are getting smarter and changing. They're changing the way they perpetrate fraud. And so we've had to adapt to that, and this is one of the ways that we're adapting to that. So it's been fun, and you know, there were some neat stories that I was like, oh, Mike would love to hear some of these. So.
Do you want to share another one? Do you have any others?
Sure, yeah. So one of the things we're doing is we're tracking all the calls that come into our call center. 147 different factors of those phone calls. So we know if it's it's a Sprint phone number, but it's coming through on a Verizon line. You know, those kind of things.
That's a fishy thing?
Background noise, background noise on the line, those kind of things.
Okay.
And so we have a suspicion, and we get a fraud score on every phone call that comes in. So we and our call center reps have a good idea. Hey, do we need to ask more questions? Do we need to ask different questions to validate? You know, so we may ask an uncommon question like, what's the nearest elementary school to your house? Something a fraudster in Russia may not know. And, you know, there's fraud rings happening out of Russia where they actually hire people with American accents to perpetrate these fraud calls. So it's not like, oh, that's obvious that that's a fraudster. They sound like they're from Russia. You know, it sounds like the person. It's a female calling on a female account. Simple things like that. So there may be,
you know,
and I think the thing that's important also for credit unions is a one individual random fraud may not just be one individual random fraud. It may be the start of something bigger. So, you know, don't take it lightly. It's $100. Big deal. Let's.
Oh, not me, man.
Yeah, work together
happens,
and look deeper into it, because there's probably some other link behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, especially my wife. She is on that stuff. Like, oh my god.
When it's your own account,
exactly,
for sure. Yeah.
Man. It's like even at $5, what? You know, we're making a phone call.
You know, a lot of you talk about the dollar amount. A lot of these frauds start as, you know, $20 frauds. So a lot of times it's under a floor limit of what a credit union would spend time charging back.
Yeah.
But you know, it's important to look at those because, again, that's the start of something bigger. So some credit unions may just, we'll write that off.
Well, isn't that advice for I guess anybody in general? Keep an eye on your account, you know, because I mean we're on our account daily, all the time, and just looking at stuff, and if she doesn't find something, I find something, and we check in with each other and say, hey, did you do this, or did you do that? Like, no. Oh, my, you know, so, but it's actually a really good thing. We're a good team like that.
That's
so,
good. That's
good. So we're our own little CSI fraud detection agency in our own home, so it's good.
We're going to hire the Lawson agency to investigate fraud for us,
My wife will be top-notch in that area, top-notch. Hey, last question here, I'm kind of asking everybody, what do you want to learn here? What do you want to achieve or take back to PSCU and kind of apply?
So one of the neatest things is walking around the room, talking to people, and getting a sense of what's on their mind. And being here in D.C., a lot of it's lobbying, and I'm from the state of Iowa. There's a big challenge going on around taxation in the state of Iowa, but really understanding where people's heads are, and it's interesting, the broad perspective. So this year, more than most, there's been themes, I think, in the past. You know, a couple of years ago, it was really around fraud and EMV and those kind of things. This year, it's really all across the board.
Really?
Yeah, I would have said growth last year was a big thing everybody was talking about. This year, it's really all over the board. So it's been interesting to get that sense and everybody's perspective on what they're thinking about this year.
Wow.
Growth, innovation, fraud.